Two for the Show sends us on a cryptic train ride. Directed by Kevin Hooks, written by Gilbert Adler and A.L. Katz, and shot by Levi Isaacs. Based on a story from Crime Suspense Stories number 17, drawn by Bill Elder. Check your bags. You don't want anything deadly weighing you down. Emma is tired of her life with Andy. In need of excitement and passion, she admits she's in love with someone else and wants a divorce. Andy demands to know who she's having her affair with. Refusing to tell, Emma packs her things, with sights set on Chicago. One insult too many makes Andy snap.
You already look like a schmuck, because you are a schmuck.
Schmuck? Who's your schmuck? Huh? Good. Bitch! You want passion, Emma? How's this? God!
The scissors go right into Emma. She screams bloody murder. The police phone rings. A neighbor reports a scream from Andy and Emma's apartment. In the background, another officer argues with his wife over the phone. This particular individual seems to take an interest in the reported scream.
What was that call just now?
Some woman. Says she heard a fight next door, and then a scream, and then nothing.
Did I hear the name Conway?
Yeah.
They in Wood Glen, Unit 402?
As a matter of fact, you know her?
Don't think so.
Wait, what are you doing?
I'm on it. I want to see what this guy looks like.
The officer knocks on the door as Andy tries to stuff Emma's body into a trunk. The cop patiently waits outside while Andy cleans the corpse and blood off the floor. He throws on a bathrobe and opens the door to Officer Fine. As a thunderstorm rages, Harry murders Sarah with a hatchet. He buries her in the cellar, patting down the dirt of his wife's grave. It's as if nothing happened. Harry washes the hatchet and shovel. The storm calms as he goes about his night as usual. At midnight, he calls the police, reporting a missing person. They will send an officer over first thing in the morning. The detective speaks with Harry, who hands him a note allegedly written by Sarah. She left him. The detective offers his condolences. While he's there, Harry lets the detective inspect the house. It appears Sarah packed up everything. Her closet and dresser are empty. In reality, Harry burned her stuff. The detective seems convinced. Almost. He notices Sarah's toothbrush. Such an odd thing to leave behind for someone who packed so thoroughly. The detective believes something is amiss. He will investigate the disappearance. Harry asks if he finds Sarah to tell her he's sorry and to come back. The detective promises Harry he will, if he finds her. Andy offers a similar story of Emma leaving him for Chicago. He plays it off as nothing. What about the cut on his face? Shaving accident. Officer Fine looks around. Finding the trunk, he opens it to nothing but towels. He does spot a high school ring on the floor. In the bathtub, Emma is submerged. The bubbles hide her from the officer. On his way out, Fine asks Andy to have Emma give the police a call once she's arrived in Chicago. Harry knows the detective is onto him. Fearing a search warrant, he takes a big trunk out of the attic, and using the shovel and hatchet, he creates an unidentifiable sludge out of Sarah's body inside the trunk. Andy also rushes to hack up Emma in the tub. Now she fits.
Looks like you'll be making that trip to Chicago after all, honey.
Harry takes the unmarked trunk to the train station and buys a ticket to Chicago. The plan is to send Sarah's body unescorted while he stays behind. Until the detective shows up, he followed Harry. Officer Fine spots Andy dragging his trunk as well. Andy leaves the luggage ticket blank and is approached by Fine at a most inopportune moment.
You, going somewhere?
Yeah,
Hey, Mister, that trunk you're taking to Chicago, you forgot to fill out your name and address. And I tell you, if these things get lost, they get lost for good. There's no way they'd trace it back to you. Here you go.
Thank you.
Thinking quickly, Andy and Harry inform the detective that their wife called from Chicago. All is forgiven. They're celebrating with a second honeymoon. Now our scheming husbands have to use their train tickets. Both detectives are happy to hear the news and walk our murderers to their seats. Andy is stuck. Officer Fine is also heading for Chicago, working on a case. Sitting across from Andy, he sparks a conversation about his earlier fight with Emma, offers some sparse details about his own marriage, and then, hypothetically, asks Andy if he were to kill his own wife, how would he do it? Uncomfortable with the questions, Andy excuses himself. He can't even have a meal without Officer Fine intruding. The cop points to another passenger and claims the well-dressed man is a drug smuggler. In minutes, the train will stop, and the FBI will search the entire train, bag by bag. Andy excuses himself once more. On the luggage car, Andy switches bag tags with another trunk, proceeding to throw his own off the moving train. So long, Emma. As the train nears the next station, Officer Fine reveals he has the same high school ring as Emma. Andy figures this was the man his wife was seeing. Fine knows he'll find Emma's body in Andy's trunk. Andy challenges the notion. He will show Fine right now that his trunk is clean. Together, they go to the luggage car. There was no drug case. The FBI reinforcements are there for Andy. The train arrives in Chicago. The detective notes that Sarah is nowhere to be seen. That's right, Harry was also followed. But he knew that, and he too pulled a luggage switcheroo. The detective demands to see Harry's trunk, expecting to find Sarah's body. Harry and Andy are confident of their innocence. The moment of truth. They open their trunks. Everyone is mortified by the sight of a chopped up body. Harry is in disbelief. The detective must have changed them back, but no such thing occurred. Elsewhere, Harriet from last week's story, One for the Money, cares for her insane Eric. She took Anita's dismembered body and sent it to Chicago by train. Andy's situation goes off the rails.
That's not my wife. This is in my trunk. I threw mine off the train.
You're full of shit. I was with you the whole time. You never left my side.
He's lying. Why don't you tell him about the affair you were having with my wife? And about the ring that you gave her?
That ring under your bed was a woman's ring. It was my wife's. My wife gave it to your wife when they started seeing each other. That's my wife in your trunk. Like you didn't know.
Officer Fine claims to the FBI that Emma is on a plane to Mexico. But really, she's on a trip down his garbage disposal. 2 for the Show is a mostly faithful adaptation that expands the cat and mouse between killer and cop. David Paymer as Andy kept himself reserved, constantly adapting to changing circumstances, while Vincent Spano's Officer Fine was like an itch you can never satiate. By the end, we feel Andy's irritation and paranoia of Fine. Traci Lords makes an appearance as the murdered wife. You'll probably recognize her from Not of This Earth, Excision, Skinner, and Blade, among other films, or so I've heard. The comic's ending was a callback to an earlier story from the same issue. The episode couldn't make any such reference, and instead plays with our natural tendency to guess the twist. Once the drug smuggler angle was introduced, I was convinced Andy would have switched his trunk for one full of narcotics and get busted for a totally different crime. It's obvious from the start that Officer Fine was Emma's lover, except he wasn't. Our spotlight law enforcer was also a murderer, and pinned the whole thing on another guilty party? What a frame-up. Good thing Andy picked Fine's trunk to switch with. Watching the episode again with the knowledge that Fine's wife was cheating on him with Andy's wife really brings a new perspective to a lot of dialogue.
It's strange, but I feel like we have a lot in common.
This show is definitely a 2-timer.
Get out of my sight before I kill you!
No, no, he's lying. You set me up. He set me up. He set me up.
What a crazy son of a bitch.